Okay, so I'm going to call this meeting to order at 3:04. Thank you for that. And I'm going to start with our land acknowledgement. Before we begin, we believe it's important to open our meeting by acknowledging the indigenous land that we share. Pasadena City College is a learning community within the indigenous homelands of people who have been known as the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians of the Shiishikwanga Village and Keech Nation. We acknowledge the painful history of genocide and forced removal from this land on which we gather. We honor all Indigenous people, past, present, and future, and their continued survival and contributions to our society. We also honor the legacy of the African diaspora and recognize that this country would not exist without the free and slave labor of Black people. We share these acknowledgements to raise awareness about histories that are too often erased or forgotten, to recognize our place in this history, and to affirm our commitment to social justice, systemic change, and anti-racism. And just breathe that in for a minute. Okay. So now, Professor Walker, do we have any public comment?
Yes, I do, actually. Let's start with Steve Gibson. I'm sorry. Apologies. Just a reminder, you have 3 minutes to share your comment or for me to read your comment. Upon calling your name, if you submitted a written comment to be read, I'll ask if you want to read it or if I should read it. And with that,
yes,
go forward.
I'll state my comment. Thank you.
Go ahead.
My name is Steve Gibson. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I wanted to announce my running for Board of Trustees, District 3. I would be proud and honored to represent this district where I've been very active for 20 years. And my recent dissertation was on adjunct faculty in community colleges. My goal as a trustee will to bring back true shared governance between faculty, staff, board, and administration. So that's my top goal, and I hope to have the support of all of your faculty in my run for Board of Trustees District 3. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for your comment. And next we have, let's see here, I'm trying to do them in the order I received, maybe, let's see. We have, Geeta, is Geeta here? Professor Geeta, is she here? Oh, there she is. Professor Endor, you have 3 minutes to share your comment.
Okay. Trying to right the small ship of the Foothill campus through the seas of Perfumo Rocha and now Dr. Andrew Jonas has taken extraordinary amounts of time and effort that could be and should be better spent. It has been tough to get people to listen to any information about what we have been subjected to and what we need. When a lousy idea comes out of our executive office, and as a result, we have fewer classes, our teachers have less work, sometimes half of what we had. Classes were 16 weeks when I started at Foothill. They were divided into 2 8-week sessions to facilitate giving certificates to students who took A and B classes. Now we get an 8-week class instead of a 16-week class. Half the money. Those making 30,000 get 15,000. Those making 40 get 20. The people who decide on this are not donating half their money. They're donating half of mine. There are teachers whose classes are cut because they have too few students. because the person who decides on all classes, rooms, times, and teachers has never been a teacher. The people who refuse to listen are unsalaried and unbothered. We have been, and mostly are now, a non-credit campus. Outside of Dr. Alice Meekum, whom Dean Ariano set out to eviscerate, and our current Dean Suarez, not one has evinced any interest in non-credit. Instead, we get patted on the head and told once again, thank you for all you do for our students. Code for instead of what you need or want. I went to see President Androjonas when she was at my campus for an office hour. I'd like to take 5 minutes and bring you up to date on what has gone on at the CSC, I said. Before my time, she said firmly, closed her notebook, stood up, nodded at me, went out the back door. That's when I lost confidence. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. And next we have, let's see, Tracy Bodis.
Hi, thank you. I'm Tracy Bodish. I'm an adjunct professor, kinesiology, health, and athletics. My public comment. I'd like to speak in support of the vote of no confidence for Erica Androjonas. I'm a member of Kinesiology, Health, and Athletic Division, and I have been a faculty member here at PCC for 25 years. I've been concerned regarding the conduct of the school's administration for some time now. That is one of the reasons why I recently wrote and sent in a public comment statement to the Board of Trustees meeting. In it, I illustrated just some of my reasons for supporting the vote of no confidence. Although my decision, Kinesiology, Health, and Athletics, was not one which conducted an official internal poll to ask feedback on the possible vote of no confidence, but an unofficial poll did go around when neither the chair or the academic senate reps asked KHA faculty for feedback on this question. The results of the unofficial poll sent to approximately 30 faculty in KHA revealed that fully 100% of the respondents voted in support of the vote of no confidence. Although full disclosure, only 6 people responded, but all 6 were in favor. That is completely remarkable to me and indicates that something is severely wrong here at PCC. It's difficult to get 6 people to agree whether they want to have dinner these days or, but they all supported the vote of no confidence. I'd also like to highlight that now that we are physically back on campus, I've had a chance to speak personally to some of my longtime colleagues in the kinesiology division, as well as other departments. And I have been personally told directly and in no uncertain terms that these individuals are also in full support of the vote of no confidence. I want the academic senate to know that there's a lot of support out there among faculty for this VNC, even though it sometimes seems the other way around, probably because those in opposition seem to be shouting the loudest right now. Please do not let that sway you. Vote the way you know your department faculty feels about this current administration, led by Superintendent President Androjonas. I believe there are many people who haven't been heard from yet and also are in the support of this VNC, and I hope they will also make their voices heard soon. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for your public comment. Next is Anna Krishka. I apologize if I mispronounce your name, but is Anna here?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Awesome.
All right.
Okay, you have your 3 minutes.
Thank you. So in 2 surveys conducted in the social sciences division, the largest on campus, the majority of respondents supported a vote of no confidence. Even those who did not support the VCN expressed strong dissatisfaction with the lack of communication, transparency, and availability of a clear rationale for the return. Here is a sample of faculty comments, the majority of which struck the same tone. Quote, I think there should be a reprimand to the board and the president for poor communication, collaboration, and coordination of the return to campus, unquote. Another faculty stated, quote, "The president did not act as a public servant with a responsibility to multiple constituencies, but as a dictator. She put faculty and student lives at risk, created unnecessary stress and panic, wasted people's times, and eroded trust in the institution. No confidence," unquote. Another faculty stated, "The president did not take faculty consideration into account when she forced the campus to open on January 24th. She did not provide any data as to why we should return and did not provide any data or protocols on what would constitute a return to remote if the numbers were to rise. Also, I want to make sure that faculty voices are truly considered when the next variant arises." Another faculty stated, "The last 2 years have been horrific for people in administrative positions, with constantly shifting targets and information. Yet PCC seems to have been particularly poor with accuracy and openness in their communication to all constituents." Another faculty member stated, "Removing the president feels extreme, but I don't think the president or the board's pandemic response in 2021-2022 was done effectively compared with the way other colleges have handled it. It was confusing for faculty and students and felt unsafe at times," unquote. These are some of the views of the social sciences faculty members. In closing, many untenured and adjunct professors reported that they were scared to make their thoughts on the return to campus known. They feared personal or professional retribution or retaliation for speaking out. Here in Senate, the level of personal acrimony seems to stymie any genuine discussion. This campus climate is far from collegial and has had a chilling effect on people expressing their genuine concerns about the initial return and what happens when the next surge hits. Thanks.
Thank you for your public comment. And next we have Dr. Bernardo.
Is it possible to stop the dinging when people come in? I don't remember that before. You're muted.
Dr. Bernardo, are you here? I heard, thank you, Professor Endor. Dr. Z, are you?
Yeah, I was just waiting to see if you were going to respond to Professor Endor before I began.
We'll see what we can do. Thank you.
Okay, let me pull this up. Sorry, I'm pulling up my document right now. Okay. I'll start now. I want to thank the people who have offered their feedback, their lived experiences and traumas as testimony to what they've been put through by this PCC administration under President Andrew Jonas. Full-time faculty have stepped up to speak their truths and advocate for others, and the brave adjunct faculty have spoken up, risking their jobs to address the continued inequities that adjuncts face, considering that this institution runs on the backs of people who are not offered security or a living wage in Los Angeles County. I want to thank non-instructional faculty who, along with our hardworking classified colleagues, were forced to return to campus in July 2021, while instructional faculty were allowed to work remotely last fall. Non-instructional faculty concerns were completely ignored by the PCC admin, of which, as per reports from FA, people near the highest levels of this administration have called faculty lazy, entitled, and not wanting to work. PCC administration wanted to punish faculty who remain remote with suspension or penalizing them 2 weeks pay for choosing to work in a manner they deemed safer than what President Andrew Jonas decided on unilaterally, which was to force faculty's return on a date which was non-negotiable in their words. Some people are actually being paid over $300,000 a year to completely ignore us, ignore faculty. Imagine that. I thank the students who give their time and advocate for their fellow students and the people in this community, trying to make things better for everyone. And some people have tried to thank me, but I'm not too comfortable with that. I told people I get my inspiration right now watching the people of Ukraine fighting for their country and their lives. They're climbing on tanks and lying in front of armored vehicles. They're businessmen and mothers turned soldiers, learning how to operate artillery and stingers. And they are hacktivists on their computers in Lviv, in Warsaw, and Bucharest, executing DDoS attacks on Russian government websites. If anything, maybe I'm like those hacktivists. All I have to do to fight is keep saying stuff, right? I don't have to lie in front of a tank. All I have to do is maybe write a few emails, but that's fighting too. I'll end with some words from author and inspirational speaker and now adjunct assistant professor at the University of Chicago School of Business, Lovie Ajayi. She wrote in her book, Professional Troublemakers, "People and systems count on your silence to keep you exactly where you are. A life well lived is not one where you made sure the rooms you were in didn't have friction. A life well lived is not about plastering a fake smile on your face. A life well lived is not about how many people you did not upset. A life well lived is one where you commit to being kind, where you connect your humanity to that of others, and it shows in the way you move through the world. And that's what we got to do. We will ruffle feathers. We might be the villains in a few people's stories. We might even blow up a few bridges. But our worth is not based on how much we acquiesced to the people we knew. The goal is to betray ourselves less. So be kind, but take note, S-H-I-T. Thank you.
Right on the nose. Thank you for your public comment. Okay, next we have, and sorry if you can't hear me, I apologize. I'll speak a little louder. I was getting some feedback. Next we have Melissa Michelson.
Thank you. I have a few general comments, one about the vote of no confidence and then one about graphics. Where is your parliamentarian, John Hanley? I don't see him in here. Why hasn't the Executive Senate made sure he is here? He's been here this semester at every meeting. Maybe I missed him in the past. But from what I've seen, it's been a free-for-all in here with senators being shut down, timers going off, past practice, bad habits, and senators not really knowing or being told their rights. At Senate retreats, you should demand training on Robert's rules so you know your rights. Because from what I've seen, it seems like your rights are being trampled on in here. Also, a few things, whether to move on, whether to end the meeting, whether to entertain something on an agenda, whether to extend time for discussion, whether to go by line by anything on any kind of document should be voted on by the body. Nobody gets to decide that for you. And finally, why has it been so complicated to get the link to the Zoom for the public to this and other meetings? I finally got the Zoom to this meeting 36 minutes before you started, even though I asked for it on Friday. About the vote of no confidence, please stop the witch hunt. Who cares who wrote the document? Do you like it or not? You each get one vote, whether you represent yourself or the department. At this point, people have made up their mind about how they will vote on the resolution. So just vote. Beware of alternates that are brand new and are not on the official latest roster. I say this because last time the Senate voted to approve vote of no confidence on the administration, there were questionable people in the room. Don't get distracted by a small minority of faculty in here that may be trying to derail or postpone the process because they may be doing the bidding of administrators or applying for or will apply for administrative jobs or reassign time special projects, for example. Please vote no confidence on the president and the board of trustees who have themselves done nothing about the issues listed in the resolution. About graphics, which is also on your agenda. I have just a bunch of questions. Why were the people put on the task force to discontinue graphics not ever voted on in this body when the policy says that that's what's supposed to happen? Just like with hiring committees, that's what has to go. It has to go through the Senate. Next question, why weren't the graphics part-time faculty members invited to attend the VAMS faculty meeting that was called by the VAMS dean, like it says in the policy? Why are a couple of white professors in this body that love to talk about student equity talking about a living wage as a reason to discontinue an entire program without even explaining what a living wage is or giving any data? Or they say something more, quote, innovative should be put in, something more innovative than graphics arts? Like what? What about the lengthy after the fact data presentation by the administration at your last meeting? It didn't really show a clear relationship as to why that meant they wanted to discontinue graphics. What other alternatives were being discussed? And finally, what are the legal ramifications are there now that relates to the endowment given to graphics? This brings up legal questions, and I would be happy to jump on any kind of lawsuit because
you,
this is about our
Melissa. Your
students.
time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comment. Thank you. Okay, next we have Kathy Kotaris. Is Kathy around?
Hi, Armia. This is Giselle. I am part of the Safe Learning Environments Committee, so I can speak on behalf of the committee since it's a message from our committee.
Okay, hold on one second. So you're going to read the statement?
Yes.
Okie dokie. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Okay, so 1 second. All right, so we understand that time is limited due to a packed Senate agenda, but we have important time-bound updates that we can share within these 3 minutes. The Safe Learning Environment Committee has been reflecting on the fact that the purpose is rooted in paths toward bringing about the healing of trauma, as well as creating spaces and opportunities for restorative justice for our PCC community. During spring and fall 2021, the committee worked with Dr. Bolin to research trauma-informed healing center training certification programs. Consequently, the committee has applied for the Community Excellence Grant to fund campus-wide training. We are asking for PCC to fund the Flourish Agenda Healing Centered Engagement Certification for 80 PCC participants. Flourish Agenda is led by Dr. Sean Ginwright, who is Professor of Education in the Africana Studies Department and a Senior Research Associate at San Francisco State University. Training would be open to faculty, staff, students, and administrators. Additionally, the committee would invite trauma-informed, healing-centered experts and speakers with sessions available to the whole campus throughout the 2 years. This would need to be funded beyond and extended to many more on campus, but this would provide another seat of training to support the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion's work. We are also requesting funds for a physical outdoor space on campus, a healing garden of reflection and remembrance for quiet contemplation and shared healing practices. We are grateful for the support of Dr. Tongtaraj, who is the executive supervisor of this work since it overlaps with her work on the PRT. We are hopeful that this work will be funded and supported since clearly there is deep pain on campus that needs to be responded to and cared for. The committee has also met to discuss, revise, and vote on the resolution of the vote of no confidence in Superintendent President Dr. Andrew Jonas. We have considered the questions and feedback from academic senators and have revised it to include the conclusions from 63 pages of feedback from the original poll to the entire body of PCC's faculty in January, as well as the specific scientific data that was available during January and February. The Adjunct Faculty Issues Committee has notified us that they support the committee's rework of the resolution of no confidence. We hope both Dr. Andrew Jonas and the administration of PCC take note of this faculty feedback and that they sincerely attempt to improve the relationships between themselves and ourselves as faculty in the spirit of shared governance and working together toward common goals and the common good. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Next we have Chris Pilon. Is Chris here?
I'm here.
Okay,
Thank you.
hi Chris, you got 3 minutes.
Okay. Yesterday evening, I provided every Senate rep with a list of recent articles in local publications that indicate the community's esteem for vocational programs and their concern with the cancellation of this and other vocational programs at PCC. I live in Pasadena, and I'm currently canvassing for a challenger to a board seat. People in the community are shocked to learn of the loss of programs like this. If you didn't receive this email, please send me a message at my email, kfpiloncuatt@gmail, and I will send it to you. Following the articles is a bullet point list of violations of the Brown Act and the college's own procedure for dissolving programs. These were all part of this process, and this has all been documented. It's a bit overwhelming, but don't take my word for it. Go to board docs and read AP 4021 for yourself. For the most part, you all were here in meetings where these things occurred. You know what happened. An important, awesome program that had been in existence at this college for over 70 years that serves students of all ages and demographics from the most vulnerable on up was destroyed in a matter of a month. There was virtually no open discussion of this event among faculty or among the community we serve. This was not a transparent event. You did not get a chance to learn about what we did in that program, and we did not get a chance to tell you about what happened there. We were all cheated by this sloppy, secretive process. I worked at PCC for almost 30 years. I know how much additional work has been added to faculty over the years. It is hard to keep up, but especially you, Senate reps, need to read everything that passes before you, and you need to ask questions. And don't approve things if you're not sure what they are, or more and more things like this will occur. Don't let the administration and their toadies clip your wings. In the case of graphic communications, you were hoodwinked. No confidence in the administration and the Board of Trustees? Count me in. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. I scrubbed my emails to make sure I didn't miss anyone, but please let me know if I missed anyone. Okay, seeing no hands. Just a reminder for your public comment to be recognized, please put public comment in the subject line. Makes it a lot easier for me. And back to you, Dr. Lopez.
Thank you, Professor Walker. And we'll move on with the agenda. And that is the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting? Jeff Hupp, is that a motion to approve the minutes? Thank you. Talene, I see you as a second.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing no hands, we can approve this by unanimous consent if there are no objections. Seeing no objections, the minutes are approved by unanimous consent. Now we have our constituency reports, and I believe I saw Mark Wentworth here for PCCFA. Mark, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome.
Good afternoon. No real update. I would like to just announce that on April 5th, we will be sponsoring the candidates for a Board of Trustees candidates forum. We will have all 4 trustees that we are endorsing on Zoom, and that will be April 5th at noon. That's open to all faculty, not just members, but all faculty, including staff and management. So if you would like to come and hear what they have to say, they'll each be speaking for about 15 minutes just to give you an idea of their platform. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, and do we, Dr. Bernardo, report for adjunct faculty?
Yes, hi, thank you. The adjunct faculty issues committee met, and we discussed the vote of no confidence that was submitted to the academic senate a few times. And according to the adjunct faculty that were polled, a majority are in favor of the vote of no confidence for President Andrew Jonas. There were people in our committee who expressed reluctance to say that we alone support this, that we were hoping that, I think they were hoping that full-time faculty would stand up and support it as well, as it was originally written by people, but now the Safe Learning Environment Committee has made a revision and has submitted that to the Academic Senate. And so, but people were generally in favor of the vote of no confidence and the resolution document in support of the Safe Learning Environment Committee. The Adjunct Faculty Issues Committee supports as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bernardo. And Classified Senate. Ernesto. We can't hear you, sir.
How about now?
Yes.
Awesome. Good afternoon, Dr. Lopez and Board and Academic Senate. I have a couple items to share on the Classified Senate. At the last Board of Trustees meeting, we presented the California Community Colleges Classified Employee of the Year, Ms. Angie Alvarez. She's been an integral piece to the guided entry piece and of our college, really supporting the outreach efforts. Also, the other item to share is the week of May 16th is the statewide Classified Employee Recognition Week. We'll be planning on having multiple events to really celebrate and appreciate the classified professionals that we have at our campus. Ooh, excuse me. That is all.
Thank you for that. Associated students.
Hello, we don't have any reports today.
Okay, thank you so much. And is there a member of Management Association here? I thought I saw Dean Miller. Management Association, going once.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. The Management Association continues to work on our APs and VPs. We're currently working on our professional development retreat for the summer. And we have met with Bob and continue to meet with Erica about the things that we need to talk about for our association. And we feel like those are going well. And I think that's probably about it. I think we're looking at some mentorships for the Management Association, talking about it for classified staff and faculty, and just being able to mentor one another and do professional development to help people move up in the organization, or do something other, whether it's go back to school and get an AA or a BA or a PhD or whatever they're interested in, meeting their academic goals and career goals, whether that's at Pasadena City College or somewhere else. And so just trying to take a bigger role in that. And so we just started discussing that. So gonna have more talks on that, but it looks like I think it's a great idea. And I think the Management Association feels the same way. So thank you.
Thank you, Dean Miller. Okay, now we'll move on to our officers report, starting with me. I have a few things. Some questions came up from different senators, like how long we would be wearing masks and how long our testing protocols would be in place, and that is until the end of the semester. I also have some hard numbers. How many people are testing per week? Well, as of March 14th, there have been, the week of March 14th, there were 7,792 tests given, 1,418 were for employees, 6,374 were for students. What is our test positivity rate? During the same week, our positive rate ranged from 0.07 to 0.10%. What is the vaccination rate for our students? We're recording that 98.8% of our students have reported being vaccinated, and the balance of those students have reported having approved exemptions. What is the vaccination rate for our faculty and staff? That is 96.9% have reported being vaccinated, and the balance have approved exemptions. Once again, the mask mandate will be in effect until the end of the semester. We also asked what were some of the marketing campaigns, because we're down almost 12 or approximately 12,000 students in enrollment. It's a big deal. So we asked what some of the marketing campaigns were, and the district has said that they are currently in the midst of a comeback to campus campaign. And as far as recruiting for Black students, because those numbers are down as well significantly, they've hired an outreach recruiter, an African-American outreach recruiter, part-time, to work on recruitment for Black students along with our outreach department. And that is it for my president's report. And I'm going to ask now, is there a vice president's report? Dr. Jaramillo.
Hi, everyone. I just want to remind people that we're looking for someone to represent the Academic Senate on the hiring of an administrative assistant 1 in the library. I had sent this out, but I noticed today that it might not have reached everyone. I'm not sure why, but if you are interested, please email me as soon as possible. And then I just want to make it clear, the hiring that we approve at the Senate is for administrative assistants and other other types of hiring, but not faculty hiring. That's done within divisions. So as the AP calls for. So just wanted to make sure that everyone's aware of that. And that's all for my report.
Thank you. Is there a secretary's report, Professor Walker?
Yeah, it's just a request so that we can take notes properly. We ask that when you're presenting or when you're making or making a second motion, points of order, points of information, etc., please state your name for the record so we can record who's making these motions or these actions. Also, please speak slowly and clearly, again, for our note-taking purposes. And if the motion is very lengthy, we ask that you send a copy to both myself and President Dr. Lopez. And lastly, again, if you are making a public comment, please put public comment in the subject line. Thank you.
Okay, Professor Constantine, is this a question for Professor Walker?
Well, I had a question for Dr. Jaramillo, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I know in the past, we were told that we would have access to hiring information in terms of the faculty who were hired, as well as the makeup of the hiring committees. Do you know how soon we will have access to that information?
I've not been given any information on that.
Okay, thank you.
We can do some research, Professor Constantine, to try and get that information. Is there a treasurer's report?
Yes, there is. Let me share my screen really quickly. So we have a pattern of our only change in our balances being the addition of the money that is coming into the Senate funds from automatic withdrawals to the Senate. And so we have an increase of $219 in our savings account for a total of $22,514.82 and an overall total of $23,610.65. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now we're on to item number G, our information items. And first we have a student services update from Dr. Cynthia Olivo. Dr. Olivo, you have the floor.
Thank you so much for the invitation. And I'm going to share a lot of dates, but I will send this presentation to Judy, and then hopefully, Judy, if you can send it out to everyone, and that way you all will have the dates. So first of all, tomorrow we are hosting a concert in the quad. Hopefully the weather cooperates. But it's really exciting because there's 2 students who are alumni from PCC, and Dr. Francoso helped me to engage with the band called Quetzal. They're an LA band, Grammy Award winning, and Dr. Martha Gonzalez, as well as Taliana, are both alumni from PCC, and they'll be performing on the quad from noon to 1:30. I also reached out to Pasadena Unified School District, and we're busing in 200 students from the high schools to come and join us at the concert and just enjoy the afternoon, see their local college, and hopefully, plant that seed that this is the college they'll attend. So this is in honor of both Women's History Month, the culmination of Women's History Month, as well as to honor Cesar Chavez Day. And this is the band Quetzal. So if you could, have your students come and join the festivities in the quad tomorrow, 12 to 1:30. And then April 4th, summer registration begins. And I just wanted everyone here to know we are waiving materials fees. So if any of your courses have material fees, we're going to absorb those for students. We're also absorbing the student health fees, and we're lifting almost all holds for almost every student. So there will be no barrier for students. If a student owes money, we're lifting it. So please make sure to encourage your students in classes now to register for summer. And then shortly after that, April 11th is the day for students. That's the deadline for students to apply for graduation. This email went out as a notification and reminder to students. And then we also have our various Black grad, Latinx grad, APITA grad, and Lavender grad coming up as well. So mark your calendars. It's going to be an amazing season of celebrating our students and their achievements and all of our collective hard work in getting to this point. In Lavender grad, we will honor one of our colleagues who recently passed away, Luis Cervantes, who helped us with our first Lavender grad. We also, for the first time, we're going to honor our student parents in a graduation activity on Saturday, May 7th. And we're providing 600 student parents with $1,500 each from federal CARES funds. I just wanted to make you all aware of this because we're trying to make sure our student parents have the support they need in order to navigate these challenging times during the pandemic. And then mark your calendars for Saturday, April 23rd. PCC is hosting Festival Latinx. And this will include having the Chivas soccer team players here playing our PCC soccer players. We will have resource fairs, and we've hired a company that will have around 5,000 community members here enjoying PCC. So far, this is the layout. You all will be receiving information so that you can host a table for the resource fair to promote your programs, certificates, degrees, and co-curricular activities that you lead. And then finally, we have commencement on May 6th. This website is live. Students can get all the information they need. And most importantly, we need to know by April 11th if students are going to participate. Each student will get 3 tickets for commencement ceremony, and we do expect to have a sold out football stadium. So please get the word out. Our food pantry has moved, but on April 6th, we're hosting the LA Regional Food Bank is bringing their truck here so that we can help our students to fill up on groceries. And our food pantry has moved. We are now located in the R building, room 125. It's a much bigger space. We do have signage up, but just in case, I know some faculty have students come over to the Lancer Pantry during break. Please make sure students know it's in the R building, room 125. We still have emergency aid available for students by application. It's one quick Google form. And our career fair is April 14th. Don't forget, it'll be out on the quad. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Olivo. Now we have an instructional update. It says Dr. Laura Ramirez, but she was unable to be with us today as she had other college business for faculty, actually an interview panel. And Stephanie Fleming. Oh, I'm so sorry. Lyman, go ahead. You had a question.
Yeah, this is for Dr. Olivo. Could you show those last 2 slides really quick? I was too slow to get screenshots of those.
Oh, sure. No problem. I'm eating some Skittles because I need sugar this afternoon. I think, was it this one, Lyman, the emergency aid?
That one, and then the
career fair?
Yeah.
This one?
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so now we have Stephanie Fleming, who's going to be giving us our instructional update. Stephanie, are you here? I thought I saw you.
I'm here.
Okay. You have the floor.
Hi, thank you. As Dr. Lopez mentioned, Dr. Ramirez is in a hiring committee right now. And so she asked me to come and provide a couple of updates for you. First is the focus on faculty hiring. We are progressing nicely with all of the hiring committees, and we're currently in level 3 for several of those. We haven't had any board reported yet, but we'll be sure to provide that information. And I heard that there was a question about the makeup of the hiring committees and a report on who we actually hired. So I'll be sure to loop around to Dr. Lopez and Dr. Ramirez about that. So I took note of that. Okay, thank you, Bevel. And so that's one of our focus. The next focus is also on hiring a few administrators. Some job announcements came out for some academic deans, I believe, on Friday. And so if you know anyone, please let them know about those opportunities, or if you have any questions, you can just let us know. Also, a huge focus right now is on enrollment for summer. As was mentioned earlier, we are anticipating a drop in our enrollment, and so we're paying close attention to that. Enrollment for students opens on April 4th. We're back at full capacity, not at reduced capacity. And so we're trying to provide as many opportunities for students to get into classrooms as possible. We're going to be working with our strategic communication and marketing on several of those campaigns. And then we're also working with student services to reach out to specific students so we can find out students who need just like 1 or 2 more classes on how it is that we can get them in the specific classes that they need. And as always, our scheduling process will also work really closely with the deans so we can monitor demand, so that it's been a strange thing with demand on enrollment during the pandemic because classes that we anticipated wouldn't fill right away, and vice versa. And so we're watching that really closely, and we work with Dr. Olivo to make sure that we're offering those sections as demand goes through. So we are watching that really closely. And then we're also working with the deans to purchase instructional equipment. So the college received an allocation of just about $4 million in instructional equipment funds. And so we have been working on identifying the needs that we can fill with that. A lot of that money is going to go to technology and then classroom refresh. So we always give some of that money to the to IT so they can do the computer refreshes. And we've also been identifying classrooms that are still missing some of the basic smart classroom equipment. And so we're identifying those to try to get those upgraded as soon as possible. One of the things that we haven't done, at least since I think I've been here, is be able to allocate some of that funding for an actual classroom refresh, like the furniture, the paint. I think those get done on an as needed basis, and we haven't had a real consistent way to do those refresh. We've been working really closely with facilities to try to identify the classrooms and come up with a schedule on how we do that. And some of those funds will be going to that. So that's something that I think will help a lot in terms of our instructional spaces. And the deans should have been reaching out to each of you, not you individually, but all of the faculty, to identify some of the other ways that the instructional equipment money could be spent, so that we make sure that we're getting the equipment needed. There are specific guidelines for how that money can actually be spent. But if you have an idea, or if you think you have a need, please reach out to your deans. I also wanted to let everyone know that in terms of our Success Center spaces, we're also trying to identify other ways that we can offer services in those spaces. They were primarily or historically used for tutoring, and we're trying to identify how it is that we can make those spaces multifunctional for students. Like we have counselors in there, success coaches. And if you have any ideas on how it is that you think that we should use those spaces to serve students, if you could reach out to me, that would be great. And then we've also reopened the testing services in there. Like if you need us to proctor tests, there's a place on the website you can go in and make that request. If you just do a search for testing services, the link will come up. And if you have any problems finding that, you can just reach out to me. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Are there any questions for Dean Fleming? Okay. Then we have number 3, our NACCC Spring Survey Report from Dan Nguyen and Dr. Khalil Ford. You all have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Lopez. Hi, everyone. My name is Dan Nguyen. I am a research and planning analyst in the Office of Institutional Effectiveness. Today, Dr. Ford and I will be going over some information that we got from the Knack Report. I'll be presenting first and talking about the spring 2021 survey results, and then Dr. Ford will jump in and give us a comparison of the previous administration of the survey from spring 2019. Alrighty, so here on the screen is an infographic of the survey from 2021. So like I mentioned earlier, there were 2 administrations. I'm going over the spring 2021 data first. So at a high level, folks may already know this, but the Knack stands for the National Assessment of Collegiate Campus Climate Survey. It is a national survey that's administered at 2-year and 4-year institutions. And the survey comes to us out from USC's Race and Equity Center. So Dr. Sean Harper's group. So the survey asks students to respond to a series of questions in 6 content areas related to campus racial climate. Here on the infographic are the big takeaways from the spring 2021 results. And for those who are interested in the stats, we had 3,467 students participate. Of that, of the total number of enrolled students for spring of 2021. So that amounts to about a 15% response rate. I see that there's already a question someone's raising their hand. Should I address that now or later?
Professor Ayers, can you wait until the end of her presentation, or is this something that needs to be asked now?
She could just show the graphic like it started, where I can screenshot the full thing, if possible.
Okay. I'll also drop this in the chat after the presentation. And there are 2 pages, Professor Ayers.
Awesome, I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay. So there are 6 content areas, like I was just saying. The first in the top left here is called Mattering and Affirmation. So this is where students respond to questions regarding how their views may be valued in the classroom. Do professors know their names? It also asks about other areas on campus, such as advising and student affairs. For this particular question, we see that 60% of students of color indicated that they mostly or strongly mattered in class with white professors, compared to 76% of white students, for a 16 percentage point difference. And throughout the report that we received from USC, they orient the reader to look at students into groups. So groups of white students compared with students of color. So this was a format that they had decided on for us. Next, we go to the top right. This is an area called Racial Learning and Literacy. So where do students have an opportunity to learn about race on campus? For this particular question, we see that 27% of students of color indicated they had not learned about race anywhere on campus, compared to 30% of white students. And that's a 3 percentage point difference. And for all of these metrics, they can be further broken out by specific racial or ethnic groups. Here, we're just looking at the top line data, but more detailed data is also available for other ethnic and racial groups. Okay. Next, we are looking at encounters with racial stress. So here, this is a measure of students who may have had experience with racial bias on campus or microaggressions or mattering and inclusion on the campus. We see that 61% of students of color felt moderately completely included on campus compared to 66% of white students. That's a 6 percentage point difference. Then moving to the right-hand side, appraisals of institutional commitment. So students were asked about whether or not they felt campus showed or dealt with racism and racist incidents completely or moderately effectively. Here we see 54% of students of color compared to 56% of white students. Under this umbrella, students were also asked about hiring and whether or not they felt campus was committed to hiring faculty of color. Okay, so moving to the bottom left here, the category is cross-racial engagement. So where have students had opportunities to interact and engage with students of different racial groups and other identity groups? Here we see that 2% of students of color felt moderately to completely discouraged talking about race with students of color compared to 8% of white students. So you notice that students of color throughout this, the top line report show a smaller percentage compared to our white students. That's not always necessarily negative. So in this case, we see that students of color seem to feel much more encouraged talking with other students of color about race. Okay, and finally, we have the category of impact of external environment. So how do students feel when they are in the surrounding community of PCC? 59% of students of color felt moderately or completely welcome in the city surrounding campus compared to 71% of white students. And that's a 12 percentage point difference. So moving next, the second page of this infographic will list out recommendations from the Knack Report. I won't go over all of the recommendations. I'll just say that overall, the recommendations tend to encourage that whatever approach we take as a campus, that it is a whole campus approach. It's not just responsibility of an individual or groups of individual. It must be seen as a pervasive approach that we all take in order to improve the campus climate for the students, and particularly calling out race and centering race in the work that we do as a campus. And of course, centering our students of color within that work, seeing that most of the report's data seems to show that our students of color are showing a smaller percentage of feeling included or learning about race on campus anywhere. So that's a point of focus that the report highlights. So now I will pass it on to Dr. Ford.
Okay, Dr. Ford, before you continue, I am going to need, we ran out of time on this, so I am going to need a motion to extend. Is there a motion to extend? Dr. Bernardo, I saw your hand up. Is that a motion to extend?
I think Professor Constantine had his hand up. I'm not sure.
I thought he was asking a question.
Oh, well, I can motion or second, however, yeah.
Okay, for by how much? How much time?
I think 5 minutes.
Yes. Dr. Francoso, is that a second? Okay, so can you stop sharing for just a moment, Dr. Ford? Dr. Ford, can you stop sharing so that I can see the full Senate? Or Dan, I'm not sure who that was. Okay, so we have a motion to extend by 5 minutes. It's been seconded. If there are no objections, we can approve this by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Professor Constantine, I'm going to assume that's not an objection. So seeing no objections, this is approved for an additional 5 minutes. Professor Constantine, you had a question?
Yeah, did Professor Ayers already ask his question?
He did.
Okay. Yes, I'm concerned about the use of the labels students of color. You know, are we saying that white students do not have color? Are Asian American students in that group of students of color?
Yeah, yes.
Who determines these labels, and why are we continuing to use these labels for students and not focusing on the lack of ethnic diversity? And even in terms of the solutions, do you not believe that hiring individuals who are ethnically diverse and increasing a population of students that are ethnically diverse, shouldn't those be part of the solutions to the issues that we see?
I guess 2 points, and I'll let Dan talk as well. One, the data that we're presenting is sort of directly from USC in terms of how they presented it. We do have the rest of the data, so we can break it down differently because to your point, we have a lot of Latinx students, we have a lot of Asian American students, we have just a lot of students of different ethnicities, so sort of lumping them all into students of color. Not necessarily the best way to do it, but it was the way that it was given. And so that's the way we're going to start, but that's not the way we're going to end. If there are other folks that think that the data should be broken down differently, we can do that. Second point is there are other recommendations on the slide that Dan showed. And so when we share that, you can look at that as well. We're just giving a quick overview now, but of course, you know, the solutions that you brought up are important and may even be on the slide. I don't know. There are a ton of different recommendations, but I haven't looked at them all, but just want to put that out there.
And if there is a task force that is created to address some of these issues, can faculty members like myself who have shown continuous interest in increasing our African-American student population, in making our faculty more ethnically diverse, can I be invited to the table in those discussions to be part of the solution?
I'm not sure if that's a question that this group can answer. They're reporting out on a survey that was given. So I'll look into who those people are, Bevel, and I will get back to you on that. And I see Professor Walker has her hand up. I am going to go ahead, Professor Walker, you can go ahead and speak, but I am going to ask that we let our guests continue their presentation. Go ahead, Professor Walker.
Just really quick, Dan and Khalil, let me know if I'm out of line, but Dan, you shared with me the disaggregated data, and I think that maybe...
We can't hear.
Oh.
Sorry,
Hello?
Armia.
Oh, they can't hear me. Can you hear me now? Okay. I do have the disaggregated data. Dan and Khalil, if it's okay to share that. Dan, I know you sent it to me because I was concerned too about what each group looked like, and that might be helpful to Bevel and others because I know it mattered to me. So is that okay to share?
Yes, I should also add that Khalil will be building a Tableau dashboard where he'll add to it so that we can look at this entire survey because there are many questions in there, but you can also then look by race and ethnicity.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are we ready to dive in then? Yes, okay, great. Okay, so you should be seeing my screen, which has basically 2 years of data. So the data that Dan presented earlier was from our 2021, spring 2021 data. The data that I'm going to share looks at the same 6 data points that Dan brought up, but it looks at 2 different time points. We were one of the first institutions to take part in the Knack in the inaugural administration, and that was in 2019. So I'm going to share our data from there and compare it to the 2021 data. I know time is short, so I'm going to kind of go through this really quickly. So the first data point that Dan talked about was mattering in courses. And you can see in 2021, there was that 16 percentage point gap. And we see that it's actually grown over time. So at both time points, both students of color and white students, most of them reported mattering in courses with white instructors.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Can you please enlarge it?
Ooh, I will try. Is that a little bit better? Okay, sure. And I'll put this in the chat as well. They both, most students, whether students of color or white students, reported mattering in courses with white instructors. However, white students at both time points reported mattering more. And both groups of students felt they mattered more in 2021 than they did in 2019, but white students mattered even more than students of color. And so that's why you see the spread getting bigger over time. One thing that was interesting as well, so you see some pattern shifting in terms of learning about race on campus. So when we saw in 2019, most of the white students were actually reporting that they weren't learning about race on campus. And you see that line going down over time. So now we actually have most white students reporting that they are learning about race on campus. For our students of color, you know, it hasn't changed as much over time, but we do have fewer students of color also reporting that they're not learning about race on campus. So that's actually a case of the two groups sort of converging over time as opposed to the first data point. In terms of inclusion, we have at both time points, both students of color and white students reporting that they felt included on campus, most of them saying that at both time points. We see in 2021 actually an improvement in terms of students feeling included for both students of color and white students. But again, we see the gap kind of growing between them. So even though they both went up over time, we had an 11-point increase for white students and a 9-point increase for students of color, and that made their gap a little bit wider in 2021 than it was in 2019. In terms of talking about race on campus, as Dan explained, this question is about students feeling moderately or completely discouraged when having conversations with students of color about race. So at both time points, it's a minority of students that are reporting feeling discouraged, and we can see an improvement over time. So in 2019, white students, 12% of white students reported feeling discouraged, and that fell to 8% in 2021. And for students of color, we had them at 4% in 2019 and then 2% in 2021. So we can see that gap shrink a little bit over time. So it was an 8-point gap and now it's a 6-point gap. Last two here, administration response to racism. So we can see that most students in 2021 feel that administrators respond to racism or racist incidents moderately or completely effectively. So that's most students. The gap between white students and students of color has actually shrunk over time as well. So it was a 5 percentage point difference in 2019, and now it's a 2 percentage point difference. So most students feel that administrators are responding and the gap is shrinking. So that's sort of some good news there. And sort of the biggest change that we saw is this last data point in terms of feeling moderately or completely welcome in the city. The way this is worded on the actual survey is they ask about whether students feel welcome in the city surrounding campus. I changed that to Pasadena since we're in Pasadena, just so you know how it was worded. So they were very similar in 2019. It's not exactly the same if you look out a few decimal places, but it's around 62% for both white students and students of color in 2019. In 2021, we see that big break between them. So, they went from being pretty similar to not being similar at all in 2021, and you see a big gap there. So that'll be an interesting thing to discuss and think about, what, a lot of things changed over the course of those 2 years, but what may be going on there. So for now, I will stop sharing. I'm going to put the actual document in the chat. If there's somebody I could email it to, so it goes out
Actually,
better,
can you
tell me.
email that to Judy Benson and Armia Walker, and they will get it out to the senators.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Were there any questions for Dr. Ford or for Dan? Thank you so much for coming here and sharing with us. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. So now we will go on. Now we will go on to the election results, and I will share my screen. Oops, I shared the wrong thing. Here we go. Okay. In essence, you have the current ASAC for another year. That gives us the opportunity to continue some of the work that we've been wanting to do. Thank you, those of you who voted for us. Thank you for those of you who voted, period. We appreciate that. Are there any questions about these results? Let me go ahead and stop sharing. Yes, Dr. Bernardo.
Hi, thank you. Is it possible that the Academic Senate Executive Board might refer to the, I'm not sure if it's bylaws committee, but to actually include the adjunct faculty senators in the voting for the executive board?
That's something that would need to be talked about, be put in the bylaws. I know that they are meeting, and I will pass it along to their chair.
Thank you.
No problem. Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward to our new business. We have AP 6530, the use of district vehicles for a first read, and Darlene Enda is here to talk to us about that. Darlene, you have the floor.
Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. And I will just kind of share my screen with you guys real quick so that you can see that. And the purpose of this AP is actually because there is no policy currently. So as I review various policies and business services that some are from 90s, some are from the early 2000s, I've been trying to look at them and update them so that they are current. And one that we realize we do not have is our district vehicle use policy. So specifically for this is to set the parameters as to very simply what is allowed, what is not allowed, how the screening process is handled for district employees that would like to utilize a district vehicle. And when I say that, I mean, for instance, field trips, if you're on a field trip and you want to take one of the vans, there is a process in order to be able to do that. And so that's the purpose of this policy. This has, just so that I can address it ahead of time, this has come up and brought up a couple concerns about field trips specifically, because one of the major components of this district vehicle use is that students are not allowed to drive district vehicles for various liability reasons. And so that has created a bit of concern by some of our faculty who do go on field trips. And so we have mitigated that concern by putting out a professional expert position that will be and act as a chaperone. And so that this will mitigate this from happening. So we'll actually have somebody that will be the chaperone for these, either day trips, overnight trips. I know we have a couple that are multi-day trips. And so we have already addressed that issue to make sure that that is taken care of for the faculty, specifically for these field trips. Any questions?
Yes, we do have a question. Dr.
Okay.
Bernardo, can you stop sharing for a moment?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dr. Bernardo.
Yes, hi, thank you. This is AP 60. I'm sorry, what was the number again?
6530. It's a brand new policy.
And so you said that there was no policy previously for this particular issue?
Yes, we actually did not have a policy in place for the use of district vehicles.
Could you tell me who wrote this policy, please?
This was actually in conjunction with myself, with Peter Benson, my transportation coordinator, as well as taking various other districts and their similar policies to ensure that we have something that is in line with other community colleges.
So it was a committee that did this?
I don't know that I would say it was a committee per se, but it was myself, my transportation coordinator who oversees this department. And then we wrote the policy. It went to classified senate for review. Actually, first it went to college council, then it went to classified senate for review, and now it's here at academic senate.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think you're muted, Dr. Lopez.
Thank you, because I was. Are there any other questions for Darlene before she goes? This is a first read. Okay. Are there any comments? Seeing none. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for bringing us.
Thank you very much. You guys have a great day.
Awesome. Next, we have Apbp 3200. This is an accreditation. This is our first read. And the presenter is Crystal Cole-Ross. Crystal, are you here? There you are. Hi, Crystal.
Lurking out here. And I think, at least I hope, Dr. Alvarado is here. Yes, Dr. Alvarado is here. Thank you. Do you want me to pop this up, or can you pop this up for me?
Are you talking to me or to Dr. Alvarado?
Well, we're talking to you, but I can pop it up.
Please do.
Sure. Okay. Let's start with the AP, because that's probably the easiest. Just pop that up right there. Okay. You should have this in your packet. I think the most obvious thing to see is that we are recommending no changes to the board policy on accreditation. So it's just pretty straightforward. We read it, we reviewed it with the accreditation standing committee, and they were like, nope, looks good as it is. So we just left it alone. Dr. Alvarado, anything you want to add?
That is entirely accurate.
Oh, finally, that's good for me. Okay. Okay, any questions?
Dr. Bernardo, you have your hand up?
Yes, hi, thank you. If you all recommended no changes, can you tell me why you were examining this in the first place?
Sure. Every time we go through an accreditation cycle on the site review and the ICER, we always go back and look at the accreditation policy and the procedure, because it's just good practice. It was last reviewed in 2015. It is now 2022. It's just time to do it again.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions for Crystal or Dr. Alvarado? Okay, so this is a first read. Next is the AP.
Yes.
Okay.
Pop that up for you. Okay, I'll just take it over. So for the AP, there's not a lot of changes, but if you go down, we did make some language changes. We changed management to administrator. We added FAC after the faculty accreditation coordinator. The big changes in the AP came in the ICER preparation and review. And what Dr. Alvarado and I did with the accreditation standing committee is just brought this in line with what we actually did during the last cycle. So that we just followed it, and this is how it was handled. So we wanted the AP to match that.
Are there any questions regarding this AP for Crystal or for Dr. Alvarado? Again, this is a first read. Okay. Crystal, can you stop sharing for just a moment?
I certainly can.
Thank you. Yep, there's a question. Okay, Dr. Bernardo.
Hi, I'm sorry. So you all did make changes, but then at the end of the document, it still says date revised on 2016.
That's correct, because we haven't done it. So
You
this
haven't
is
revised it yet. These are the suggestions that you are suggesting to revise.
correct.
Okay.
That is correct. It's a first read, so we're not done yet.
Any additional questions? Okay, well, we will move on from there. Thank you. We also have AP 4041, Learning Support Services. This is a first read, and I'm told that Crystal, you will be presenting this as well.
I guess I am, and I don't have it up. I think I can find it though. Hang on a second. But I can just talk to it for half a second. Oh, there it is. What this is this used to be a part of another AP. It was called Library and Instructional Support Services, and that was 4040. And what we decided to do is break out the learning support services separately so we could address learning support services separately. And they kind of got lost in with the library, and we wanted it to be a standalone administrative procedure. So this is new, AP 4041. It's pretty short and concise. I won't read it to you because I think you can do that yourself. So I'll just take any questions you might have.
Are there any questions regarding this AP? Again, first read. Okay, I see Anna, your hand.
Yeah, I had a question. I know that the process for hiring student tutors have changed over the past kind of couple years. And I've learned that kind of like through, helping people get hired and helping my students navigate that process. So I didn't know if that was something that needed to be in this AP or not in terms of hiring tutors from our campus, or I'm not sure how that works.
No, that would be in an entirely different section. That would be for chapter 6, where we talk about hiring. 6 or
okay.
7. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Are there any additional questions regarding this AP? And Crystal, again, can you stop sharing so I can see?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. It's okay.
Goofy me.
I see no other hands, so thank you very much for bringing these APs forward.
My
We appreciate
pleasure.
you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We'll be calling you back for second reads. Okay, now we're on to old business, and the first thing is AP 4255, Dismissal and Readmission. This is our second read, and that is Sheila Rose.
Great, thank you so much. And please do jump in, Crystal, Miriam, anyone else who is on the subcommittee of the Student Success Committee that is working on revising all of the student-facing APs in order to be more equity-minded. So AP 4255 is dismissal and readmission. One of the big changes that we included was incorporating the new language where we are removing probation from our vocabulary as a campus and replacing it with the term warning. We also are spelling out a lot of terms that are familiar to us who work with them all the time, but may not be student friendly. So we're not assuming students know what an incomplete is or what an I or a W is. We're spelling them out for them. You can see the removal of all the probation language here. At the next Senate meeting, I will be bringing AP 4250 and BP 4250, which are about what we formerly called probation. So you will see more information there. One of the big changes that we made here was that previously a student who had been dismissed 3 times was not allowed to reapply for admission to the college for 5 years. So we thought that was draconian, and so we reduced that down to 1 academic year. And then we also took out this kind of punitive, if the student fails to write a petition, right, they waive all future rights. So we took that out also. A lot of these changes were really just updating language. We no longer have an area called the admissions office. We call it admissions and records. And I think that's all the major changes, but please let me know if you have questions, and if there's anything that I forgot. Like I said, please jump in, Crystal and Miriam.
Okay, are there any questions for Sheila? This is our second read. I was muted. Sorry. What I was saying is, are there any questions for Sheila Rose? Any comments? Okay, is there a motion to, this is our second read, is there a motion to approve AP 4255? Okay, Sylvia, I see your hand. Is there a second? Is that a question or is that the motion?
I move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Margaret, I see your hand. Okay, is there any discussion? Yes, Dr. Bernardo.
Hi, yes, thanks. So at the, I guess, number 3, says appeal of dismissal. And at the very end, it says the decision of the superintendent president is final. So is this goes through committee and then there's an appeal, but then the appeal is only based on one person's decision?
So I am not in a position to speak to what happens in the admissions and records office. So I don't know if someone else is more familiar with that, what the actual process would be in admissions and records.
This is just a quick comment on that, but I don't understand how we can approve something if we don't understand the actual process or the steps.
Well, I'm sure there are people in the room who know exactly what happens when a student submits a petition.
Would they like to share that?
Okay, I saw Dr. Olivo wanting to respond, but before she responds, I would need to get permission from the Senate. Is there a motion to allow a non-voting member to speak on this?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? I see a couple of seconds. I'm going to take Ken Simon as a second. If there are no objections, we can approve this by unanimous consent. Any objections to allowing Dr. Olivo to speak on this matter? I see none, so this is approved by unanimous consent. Dr. Olivo?
Yes, when a student is dismissed from the institution due to academic progress, then usually what happens is when a student will submit a petition, that is reviewed in conjunction with an academic counselor. And then we usually have a plan for the student to be able to get back. If the student, for some reason, I think this policy points out that the student is dismissed twice, and then they appeal, and the plan is reviewed by an academic counselor and admissions, and the answer is no, the student can still appeal to the college president. So I think it's just pointing out there's still avenues for the student to pursue re-enrollment at the institution. And then I just wanted to point out, I know that we have a tool that guides policy development, which was established by our Student Success Committee and our previous Student Equity Director, Dr. Micaela Mares Tamayo. And so I know the questions they're asked, is this disproportionately impacting any of our students? So I feel confident that you all have worked through these various scenarios to make sure it's not disproportionately impacting students. I hope that provided you with some information, Professor Bernardo, so that you're clear about the student's option in this policy.
Can I actually follow up on that real quick?
Well, actually, before you do that, we actually have another hand up and I have to go. I'll come back to you though. Okay. Professor Melnarek?
I was wondering just roughly how many students a year are we talking about here? Is it 3? Is it 100?
Yeah, I would say it's less than 10.
Okay.
In this, you know, the bucket of having filled out, I think twice is what this particular portion of the policy says.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Bernardo.
Thank you. Hi. So is it possible to ask, I guess, the people who are writing this to spell out that actual procedure that Dr. Olivo just told us about right now, so that anybody looking will be able to see the exact guidelines and steps, so that it's, you know, not this kind of vague process. Honestly, I wouldn't feel comfortable voting to approve this if that wasn't in there. Thank you.
So Dr. Bernardo, I appreciate the request for information. I am concerned that our already extremely busy admissions and records staff who are trying to serve students, that I don't necessarily want to put another task on them. Do trust that we are working with representatives from admissions and records in order to do the process. We also have counselors on our team. And we're also working on updating any language on the website that would impact students so that they're able to follow these processes. And
okay, Dr. Altunji.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak a little bit to that since I'm involved in this process as well. In the AP, if we start distinguishing specifically the very minute steps of the process, it locks us in to have to rewrite the AP if we need to make shifts in the way that the forms are written, and then the steps that students take. So the actual reinstatement petition kind of lays out what the steps are for a student to take upon initiating the reinstatement process. So if we're seeing that it's not working out well with the form itself, we can pivot in the moment and clarify those steps for them, and make sure that we have the staffing available to be able to process these in a timely manner. But if we put all of that in the AP, it locks us in to have to go through this whole process again in order to be able to pivot with regards to how students are being served through this process.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. It looks like we're going to do a roll call vote. Professor Walker, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so Dr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Sheila Rose,
yes.
Armia Walker, yes. Dr. Bernardo,
No.
Tracy Bodis,
I'm going to abstain at this time. Thank you.
okay, thank you. Bevel Constantine,
Yes.
said yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Gita Indoor, Gita Indoor. I can't, yeah, she's
Abstain.
muted. Abstain, okay, thank you. Jerome, I'm sorry, Guyan Jerome,
Yes.
Milan Ayers,
Mylan Ayers, abstain.
Mylan Ayers, abstain, thank you. Douglas Cook,
Yes.
double checking if Blanca Hernandez is here. I did not see her. Okie dokie. Moving on, Talene Seropian.
Yep. Yes.
Jeff Hupp.
Yes.
Thank you both. Let's see. Tim Melnick.
No.
Thank you. Vanitha Swaminathan.
Abstain.
Thank you. Lindsay Ruiz.
Yes.
Thank you. Blanca Rodriguez. Is Blanca still here? Okay. Hold on one second. Okay, Taryn Solberg.
Yes.
Thank you. Ken Simon.
Yes.
Thank you. Margaret Bowles.
Yes.
Thank you. Jose Constanon.
Yes.
Thank you. Lyman Chafee.
Yes.
Thank you. Susan Bauer.
Yes.
Thank you. Valerie Foster.
Yes.
Thank you. Michael Vandrosco.
Yes.
Thank you. Brian Wilbur.
Yes.
Brian Wilbur.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Anthony, sorry. Dr. Francoso.
Yes.
Thank you. Anna Christia.
Yes.
Thank you. Sylvia Ringon.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Did I miss anyone? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. I'll tally these. Give me one sec. The yeses have it. 21 yeses, 2 noes, and 4 abstentions.
Okay, so that passes. Okay, so next we have AP 4220, Standards of Scholarship. This is the second read. Is Sharon here?
So actually, Gina, the Student Success Committee was able to take a look at this, but Sharon and I are meeting on Wednesday, so she'll be bringing this to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on, we have the resolution for vote of no confidence. This is a third read, and this will be brought to us by Dr. Bernardo and Tracy Bodis. You have the floor.
I'm sorry, the other, they're not there. Okay, so we're going now?
Yes.
Okay.
Is Tracy not here? I saw her just a minute ago.
I believe here.
Okay.
But I can start. Am I able to screen share, please?
Yes.
Okay. Let's zoom. Okay. So this document is different from the last time. As you can tell, the reference to the resolution of a vote of no confidence in the Board of Trustees as well was taken out. I want to mention that the document that was presented last time, the VNC document, was taken and revised by the Safe Learning Environment Committee. They added language of their own. They decided to limit it to focus only on Dr. Jonas at this time. So let me just sort of go over the main differences because I'm sure we've all looked at this enough. So that was taken out of the first line. Board of Trustees was taken out, and Board of Trustees was taken out in some of these as well here to focus directly on Dr. Jonas. And so we added a footnote with more data and where we're getting this or where they were getting this at the time. The New York Times, the LA Times, and there's like quotes here about the numbers still being really high, hospitalizations being high, the case numbers being higher than ever before. And then, sorry, let me scroll back up. I'm going to go back up here. And then they also added in some information about the hardships and trauma experienced. We linked that to the Safe Learning Environment Committee's original back to campus survey, where they asked all of the faculty how they felt about returning to campus on January 24th. And initially the Safe Learning Environment Committee presented these results a couple of, I think almost 2 months ago now, to the Academic Senate. And there were 63 pages of faculty comments and testimonies as to their hardships, their traumas, trying to get tested, people not wearing their masks in class, administration not listening to their concerns. And so we link that here so that anybody can go and look at that 63 pages of information of the specific trauma to faculty. And then we, let me just elucidate specific testimonies of trauma to faculty as caused by the unilateral decision of Superintendent President Andrew Jonas to return on January 24th when the cases were extremely high. So they also added, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped that part because I forgot where it was. Okay, up here, they added language saying that mandating a return to person instruction during the worst surge of the ongoing health crisis and ignoring the distinct danger the Omicron variant of SARS-CoV-2 posed to faculty, students, and staff. And neither of these two leadership entities have demonstrated evidence they are able to learn from their mistakes in order to not repeat them in the future, as even after the Safe Learning Environment Committee expressed its concerns, which reflected those of hundreds of faculty and staff, as well as the thousands of signatures on the student petition. Neither Superintendent President Erica Andrew Jonas nor her executive team have yet to acknowledge the errors of the PCC administration or apologize for causing harm, even if that harm might have been unintentionally caused. I'll stop sharing now. Everybody has the document, but this is the version as revised and edited by the Safe Learning Environment Committee, and as resubmitted to the Academic Senate for consideration, and also the Adjunct Faculty Issues Committee is in support of this as well.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bernardo. Okay, is there a motion on this resolution? Okay, seeing no motion. I'm sorry, I see Tracy Bodis. Go ahead.
Yes. I'd like to be the first to motion it.
And that is to,
I was going to say not to motion it.
Excuse me. I withdraw my comment.
okay. Is there a motion on the floor for this resolution? I see 2 hands up. I'm going to lower your hand right now, Dr. Bernardo. Oh, wait. Give me just a moment. Dr. Bernardo, I see your hand.
Yes, sorry. The reason that I was going to say not to motion it just yet is that we have yet to hear from, in particular, the non-instructional faculty who wanted to contribute to this document. And so I was going to give them a little bit more time to see if they wanted to do that before I brought this to a motion.
So you're asking this to come back for another read?
Yes, to allow them to have more time because they expressed interest in contributing to the document.
Okay. Well, with that being said, we're going to move forward. Thank you, Dr. Bernardo. With that being said, we're going to move forward to our next item, which are proposed future agenda items. Are there any proposed future agenda items? Okay, are there any announcements? Okay, I do want to say one thing before we adjourn. I just wanted to thank you all. Well, I still have 2 more meetings for my first year, but I did want to remind you of something that came across my mind that was kind of funny. I don't know if the Senate remembers when I first started the first couple of meetings, when I kicked everybody out of the meeting. And you were so gracious as to not hold that against me. I appreciate it. I just wanted to, that gave me a tickle thinking about that today. So I am going to ask for a motion to adjourn, and I'm going to give you back 10 minutes of your time. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Ken Simon, motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Dr. Bernardo, that's your second. Okay, if there are no objections, we can approve this by unanimous consent. Are there any objections to adjournment? Seeing none, meeting adjourned at 4:50. Thank you all so much for your hard work and for your time. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Great job, Dr. Lopez and,
Thank you.
and the committee. Congratulations on winning re-election, all 4 of you. That super
Thank
excited to
you.
have you all back for
Thank
another
you.
term.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just keep us in prayer while you're on your sabbatical. Yes, I'm jealous about it. Dr.
Look at your hat.
I love your hat.
It's raining hard outside.
It is. Okay, yeah, I'm actually gonna get out of here because I gotta get, is it raining hard? Oh no, it would start raining right when I'm about to go to Palmdale. Okay, well.
Good to
We'll
see
see.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.